Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome back to the show, longtime friend, beautiful soul, amazing storyteller, and a medium at large, Alicia. Welcome back, Alicia.
Oh, hi, Michelle. It's so nice to be back with you in this capacity, of course. And thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Your previous episodes, which I'm going to put in the show notes. I promise people I will put in the show notes. Your previous episodes have been captivating, wow, goosebump worthy, like amazing. So I cannot wait to hear what you've got to share with us today.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to sharing what I can share just to get information out there that these things can and do happen to others as well.
Yeah. And you've had some amazing stories or happenings and experiences, should I say, which have turned into amazing stories through synchronicity, which plays a huge part, plays the part of your, a massive part of your life and your intuition. So, yeah, please tell us, what do you have?
Oh, wow. So I have this story and it came to me. So that usually means I need to tell the story. It needs to come out. And I think this is very important for many people to hear when we say trusting our gut, because that is huge. It just happens. It's innate. And to allow it to happen. And one of those stories would actually take me back to Maryland in the early 90s. And I had just moved to Maryland from, where had we traveled from at that point? Chicago. And here we are in Maryland, in Prince George's County, Maryland. And when you fly into Maryland, it's very green and rolling hills. It's very beautiful. Maryland has another side as well. It's very overpopulated. Where I was at, I was right outside of Washington, D.C., so it's very populated. And we were living in a road a street right off the BW Parkway. And by BW Parkway, those of you who don't know Washington, D.C., I will explain it very quickly. So you've got 95 that runs from D.C. There's only one way in and out of D.C. in that area, and that's 95. The BW Parkway is your way to get in and out. It's the only way. So I was maybe a quarter of a mile, could have been more, so people forgive me. But as soon as you came out of my neighborhood, right there was the BW Parkway. So if you took a right, you're going into Washington, D.C. If you took a left, you're going straight to Baltimore. It was your way out, going either way. And we had been living there at this point. Once we had moved there, it was winter time now. We'd moved in the summer, I do believe, spring, summer. And this is winter. And my husband at the time, we always agreed that I enjoyed working, I loved being at home with my children, but I like to get out. So getting out meant I got a job part-time over the holiday season. So this particular holiday season, a mall wasn't too far from our home. And I said, I'm going to go there. I'm going to work at Victoria's Secret, which I did. I ended up getting this job at Victoria's Secret. By the way, disclaimer here, if you're planning on doing that, you're going to end up spending a lot of money on soap and perfumes and lotion. So beware. I think I had panties, silks, lotion, potions. I think I spent more money there that year than I actually paid. But it was a brilliant job. It was absolutely a brilliant job. And I enjoyed doing it. So I'd go to the mall and I'd wait on people. And one of the associates that worked there, she was actually became a babysitter of ours. What happened was one night, if you're getting ready to close, you would have to go together. You'd leave the store together. The last two associates, the one had the deposit bag. So you would follow the depositor in your car, and she or he would drop the deposit off in the night depository, and then you'd both go your separate ways. So it was a way to keep things safe. So painting the picture here, it never snows a crap ton. I was going to use a bad word, and I won't. Crap ton in DC. I mean, it snowed there, but not snow like this. And this had been like a huge snow that they were not used to. We're talking over 12 inches of snow, which is unheard of. And their snow removal wasn't that brilliant, because they weren't used to that much snow. So a lot of the parking places in the neighborhood were just dug out like little kind of, what do you want to call it? Almost like concave caves. They just didn't have the top on. So you just pull your car right in there. It was off-street parking. So, because there was no way to remove all this snow. So I had followed my friend, and she put the money in the depository, and off we went. And I was driving my husband's bright red Grand Prix, brand new car. And it was so exciting because it had that lock, the fob. Ooh, I can actually push the button. Ooh, this is too cool. I was too cool for school, man. I'm driving this and it had a kick butt stereo system. So I'm driving along and I'm listening to Def Leppard. And I will never forget the song that was playing at the time, nor will I forget the feeling. I'm driving and you can smell the brand new smell of the car. And I've got Def Leppard cranking on this wonderful sound system. And I had just left my job, which I loved. And so Gypsy, sitting looking pretty, is playing. And I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite songs. And you've got all this snow. I live on a cul-de-sac, and I live almost at the end of the cul-de-sac. So I turn onto my drive, and I'm driving down, and I see a car's following me. And I thought, oh, and I was just so incensed because that means I'm going to have to go around the cul-de-sac, then back my car in, and all this business because he's following me, or person's following me. And all of a sudden, I looked in my rearview mirror, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, wow, okay, I don't know where he turned off. He must have went into a driveway. So I pulled into my driveway. My husband and children were to be at a hockey game that night, so I didn't know whether they were home. We had big, huge posts that ran like up the front of the house, and a bright light shone down. You had a sidewalk. Once I got into the driveway, there was a garage. I wasn't going to park the car in the garage, and I wasn't going to waste the time opening it to see if my husband had parked in there. So I left the car, parked outside. And if you go up, we would go up a little bit of stairs, hit a landing, then you go up a few more stairs. And right there is my front porch with, like I said, the bright light shining down. Now we had hedges that were very kind of tall around there, these big bushy hedges. And with the snow on top of the hedges, there was a lot of snow, right? So it was kind of like hidden, so you've got like 3 foot of bush and then you have another foot of snow. So I'm all excited now that who's not following me. I pull my car in and I've got, of course, my high heels on, my nice little skirt, and got my little Coach backpack. By the way, the 1990s came back, folks, because you can get those Coach backpacks once again. But I loved it. So I've got it on my little back, and I get out of the car, and I said, "Oh, I'm not going to lock it here. I'm going to wait to fob it because I can fob it." And so I get to the stairs, and I just happened to turn around because I wanted to fob it and hit that lock. I was so excited. Turned around, hit the lock, and I see this big, huge black man standing. And which is unusual for my neighborhood. And this time of night, it's like 10.
Oh,
p.m.
wow. Yeah.
So to see this man standing there in coveralls, they zip up, they're gray. And he looks at me and he goes, "I'm trying to find my sister's house," in this gruff voice. And at that point, I know something's not right. Gut feeling, something. And he goes, then I saw him look to find my address. And he goes, her address is 81. And I'm like, no. And I knew it was wrong then when he went to look at my address to come up with her house number. So what I did was there was no thinking about it. Your intuition, that gut takes over and tells you what to do. And my gut said, run now. So I ran up to the first landing and I heard him scream, "Drop your purse." Well, I had the Coach backpack on at the time. And all I could think of is, no, don't you drop your purse. Don't drop your purse. Okay, so I believe still to this day, that's my higher self saying, don't drop it, babe. Keep running. Yeah. And I did. And I ran up the next few stairs, threw myself down on the landing, right? And slid on my belly and started pounding on my door, screaming, "I'm being robbed, call 911. Because now looking back in retrospect, at the time it didn't make sense. But looking back in retrospect, that was the smartest thing to do. I'm under a bright light, covered by all this snow, these bushes, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. Chances are one of our neighbors or whoever's in that house, which I'm praying they're back from the hockey game, I did not know yet. And I'm just beating, and this man's not going to come up there. Now, looking back in retrospect, the light, and he can't see me now because I'm laying flat. So I'm just screaming, beating away. Next thing I know, the door opened. And my husband sees me lying there. And he goes, "What have you done?" And I'm like, "Nothing," because I could understand. He's thinking, "What's going on?" And I go, "I'm being robbed. A man tried to rob me. Call PG County right now. I'm being robbed." And I had a big, huge Rottweiler dog. who was standing in the doorway. And I know my younger son, Scott, was also there. I think my daughter was there as well, Kelsey, somewhere in there. And she was just a toddling thing, And he goes, well, get up off the ground. So I got to my knees and I stood up. And as I stood up, I turned around to look to see, where is this? Did he go? Because I don't know. And as I turned around, I saw a flash. I did not hear anything. I saw a flash and I went down and I was like screaming at my husband. I'm going, I've been shot. He shot the top of my head. I've been shot. And he goes, no, you haven't. No, get up, get in here. No, you haven't. And I go, I feel it. Well, I hadn't been shot, but it felt like the bullet, grazed my head. We came in, called PG County. They came out and said, well, since it's an attempted homicide, we're going to send a detective out to the house to get the bullet. And because it had lodged in our door jamb. Thank God, because and we didn't find out till the next day that the man had shot a .357, and the detective said he meant business. He shot a .357, and it was exactly 11 inches from my head, which is why I felt the velocity of the bullet. I felt it go. And it landed in the door jamb, and behind the door jamb was a brick wall. So thank God it went into the door jamb and deadened, because had it hit that brick wall, it would have kept ricocheting. It could have hit one of the kids, my husband at the time. And yeah, so the detective comes. So of course they want to know at this point what happened. So I'm explaining to him. I'm half in shock. And
as you would be.
Yeah, I think anybody would be at this point. And he said, so what happened? So I'm explaining to him, and I said, yeah, he told me to drop my purse, and I knew not to. And he goes, the detective looks at me and he goes, absolutely, you should have dropped that purse right then and there. Well, Michelle, my intuition told me if I dropped my purse, I'd be dead. And he goes, no, you always give him what they want. Give him what he wants. Give them what they want, and then run. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I would have been dead, because the time it would have taken me to pop that backpack off and throw it, I was already up on the door banging. So my intuition took over and I just did it. And a couple months later, so my husband decides it's time to move. This is, the neighborhood's not like it used to be, and we're moving. So he gets another job in our old town in Ohio. So we're going to moving to Ohio. And I'm there with the kids until my eldest son, Lance, finishes school, which is going to be like a couple months. I think he was finishing up in May or something. So I stayed. I would ride around with my Rottweiler because this man knew my address. He knew what I looked like. He knew all these things. So that was real in my head at the time. And one day I saw, somebody in the neighborhood, because I was vigilantly watching these people walking in my neighborhood. And if I didn't know who they were, oh geez, I'm gonna find out. So one day I saw a man walking through the neighborhood. So I called the police and I said, there's somebody unusual. He's over at the neighbor's house. I don't know. I'm calling just because I'm a little nerved out. This happened to me. And they're like, okay, we'll send somebody over. No big deal, lady. And I'm like, I'm freaking because I'm thinking it is a big deal. What if this is, I don't know who this man is. So later on, maybe a week or so later, I was running at the time, running a lot of miles every morning. So this particular morning, I'm doing my runabout. And I had to be careful. All my runs, I had to switch directions, when I was going, how I was going. And it was taking a toll on me emotionally, really mentally and emotionally. And I ended up at the park at the end of the cul-de-sac. And I see a police officer sitting there. And I said to him, this was very shortly after I had called the police about the fellow I had seen in the neighborhood. And I went up to the cruiser and I said to the police officer, I said, sir, I know this sounds a little bit maybe paranoid. However, I had this issue. I explained to him what happened to me. And he goes, you're the one. And I go, I'm the one this happened to. And he goes, no, you're the one that got away. And I go, excuse me? And he goes, yeah. He said, this man, we're 100% sure, is the man that was robbing women at gunpoint, but shooting them, putting them in his car, throwing them out on the BW Parkway and running over them.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. So I knew then, had I have taken off that purse and threw it to him, I was dead. I was as good as dead. And he had the gun. He had everything. It was just,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those stories that you're not going to hear a lot of, that your intuition just naturally kicks in. Now, I had that police officer saying to me, you just need to throw it. You needed to throw your purse. Give them whatever they want, then run. In my case, it would have been the wrong thing. It would have been the wrong thing. And I'm not saying in every case, this is a huge disclaimer.
Yeah.
If they tell you to give them your things and you feel to give them your things, do. In my case, something else kicked in and I did what I instinctively just knew to do. So it's one of those things I really wanted to share with your listeners, Michelle, about how important intuition really is and how it can save lives.
Yeah, I think I'm still in shock. I can't believe that. Like, if you had have given him your purse, you would have also given him your life.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I was doing. The purse was in exchange for my life. And what's funny is I had just gotten my passport renewed. Okay. And for some reason, I still had it in my purse. And I thought that was a catalyst as well. Well, my God, he's not getting my passport because then he's got everything, I'm going down with my brand new Coach purse that I got at Christmas and the passport. But no, seriously, there was that driving force not to give him that. So it was that intuition, that intuitive, whatever that is, that overrides.
Well, it's a lifesaver, really, isn't it, at the end of the day? My God. So where do you think he followed you? Do you think he followed you home from the store, or do you think he just saw you driving and thought, that's it, I'm going to follow her?
I think he followed me home from the mall. And believe it or not, Michelle, I believe this to be a man that was working out at the health club with me. And he probably overheard me talking to my mates about going to the gym and having to work at the mall, because something happened after that. And anybody who's incurred PTSD can relate to what I'm going to say. And one day after this, I went into the gym, and believe you me, this wasn't any, I saw many black men that they didn't scare me after this. So really, you've got to understand that it wasn't that at all. But one day I walked into the gym and I went to go work out, and all of a sudden I looked up and I saw this man and this black man look at me, and I just went, and I could not say for sure it was him or not.
Yeah.
I will never know, but I know that my body reacted to his face. And living in that area, that's what I was encountering. More African-American men. I am just men of dark skin.
Yeah.
Never scared me at all until, and even after that happened, I saw hundreds of them. But just that one day, I walked into the gym and just went, it was like my breath was taken away. And I said, gosh, I could not ID him. I had no recollection, but my body responded to the trauma. So I'm assuming that was probably him.
Yeah. So you don't know if he ever got caught?
Don't know. And we'll never know. Yeah.
I'm just like, I think I need a break after that, just to be like, whoa, that is like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I feel like I'm in shock with you. That is not something you hear every day. Well, I am so glad that you're still with us today. Unfortunate for the other women whose lives were taken, but wow. And that is a really, really intuition. Yeah, it saved your life.
Yeah. And you don't think about it. It's, and like I said, I just want your listeners to know that intuition is at play in everything they do. Wherever they go, it's there with them. It's their higher self saying, I don't think that's a good idea. You might want to stop.
Yeah.
And to honor that. And I just believe that it's innate. It's innate. And what stops it from being innate is that policeman saying, next time you give them whatever they want. But each situation is different, right?
Wow.
I'm not saying don't. What I'm saying is
trust your intuition. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust it because it knows best.
But even to be so brazen to go to your house not knowing who was home, what was going to be there, like, that's just crazy. And see, that's the thing. In the very beginning, when Prince George's County Police came out and the because it was attempted homicide. So they had to secure the house, take the bullet out, all the casing.
But the interesting thing about it, Michelle, was in the very beginning, they thought it was just a man because they were coming in to our upper class neighborhood, and people were just coming in and robbing from that neighborhood. And that's why I mentioned the BW Parkway, because I'm only like a quarter mile away. So now they've already robbed, they're out of there, and they can go left or right. They can either go to DC or they can go to Baltimore. I was right in between both of them. So by the time the police would get there, they were already gone. And there was the policeman told me, they stay at the Red Roof Inn right down there off the BW Parkway. They come into these neighborhoods, they steal, then they hop right on and go their separate ways. And I'm like, wow. So that's what I had thought of, it was just people. And that's a month or so later, 2 months, I found out, no, that's not what mine was about.
Wow. That is incredible, miraculous, spirit-led. I don't even know where to go. I'm just like, I think I'm in shock because I don't know that story. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. Oh, you're like a cat with 9 lives. But anyway.
Yeah, no kidding, Michelle. No kidding.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing that story. That's a huge, huge lesson on intuition right there. A big experience, around, trust. So, yeah, I feel a little bit speechless right now. Thank you for coming on the show. And really, it's not very often I'm speechless or lost for words, but this one's just got me. This one's got me. So, wow. Where can people find you?
Anywhere Synchronicity Sweetheart lives, that would be on Insta, mostly TikTok, Facebook, and also International Medium Alicia as well on Facebook. Fabulous. And I will answer any questions whatsoever anyone would have. So just get in contact with me, and I'm more than happy to answer your question. And
I will put your previous episodes in the link below so people can click back and have a look at where you started from there till now. And, I'm going to get my diary out, and definitely we're scheduling you to come back ASAP. I like just that wow factor, the shock. Anyway. Thank you so much, and I look forward to having you back again very, very soon.
And thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for doing these podcasts, because it gives your listeners or your watchers, either way, whether they're listening or watching, it's giving them an idea of different mediums and different intuitives and healers that work in all different ways, because really we're all different. We really are, Michelle. And one thing I want to say on that note is that you hear, oh, well, she's a good medium, or he's a good medium, or he's a great healer, she's a great healer. The same as attorneys and doctors. The one doctor who is a great doctor for someone may not be for that other person. Yeah. And that's what is exciting. People can come here and be a part and listen to other stories, so to see who they resonate with and know that everybody is different.
100%. Yeah.
That's really awesome. And thank you for doing this for everyone.
Thank you for your time. To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.